All right, let's talk about Tintern Abbey and the Coolcoffs, or Coakleys, as they're known as both, okay? Because I'm going to prove the existence of not only reptilians, but vampires too. Bear with me. As a child, about 4 or 5, we used to play down in Tintern. It was known as a creepy place, a haunted place, and a place where people would see things and report seeing things. A father and son had fallen out. They were thick as thieves, they were very close, and they had fallen out. His son was just constantly in a bad mood, constantly, because his father wouldn't believe him. His son claimed he had seen an 8 foot tall or 8.5 foot tall reptilian in one of the tunnels down in Tintern Abbey. Tintern Abbey it's just, when you drive down to it, it seems like just a kind of a castle with walkways around it. But there's actually networks and networks of tunnels underground, and they go for miles. Miles. I think the longest one was 15 or something. But there's a bunch of them. But anyway, his son claimed he saw something. His father said, look, my son doesn't tell lies, but sure, how can I believe him about this? And they had fallen out over it. Now, yeah, so people reported seeing things there, and it was always known as a creepy spot. The reason why these tunnels were all filled in is because one day we all went up to the family crypt of the Coakleys, the Coolcoffs, the people who owned Tintern Abbey and should have been dead for hundreds of years. Okay? Went to the crypt, and we found that the Coakleys were laid out on top of these cement slabs. Some of them had these rocks with carvings under their chins. Some of them had big collars over them. Only one of them was just laid out with nothing. And they hadn't decayed. That was the problem. That's what freaked everyone out, is they hadn't decayed. The bodies, they weren't skeletons. They looked like they had just been out drinking the previous night and were a bit hungover. Only one of them didn't have a big collar on or a big rock someplace. But anyway, people were fascinated by this. They were all coming and going. I think there was a head count done, and there was about 158 people there that had showed up to see these bodies that were hundreds of years old and had not decayed, and to see these weird collars over them. And then the sun went down, and all of a sudden the one that didn't have anything on her, she woke the fuck up. She bit a guy named Keith, who still lives in Wexford. He moved away after being bitten. She bit a bunch of people, actually. So eventually, all these tunnels were filled in. They were filled in. Now, I can still prove where they are, and I'm going to take you to them. But all the tunnels were filled in, and I'm going to prove it. As well as that, I saw a reptilian that's the first reptilian I ever saw, I believe. I think so, anyway. I saw a reptilian in what they call the drainage tunnel, the tunnel we used to play in as children. You would write your name on a piece of paper, you would run into the tunnel, and whoever, the game was to stick your name with the piece of paper on the wall, and that showed how brave you were, because you went in further than everyone else. But after that woman woke up, that Coakley Coolcoff woman, they should have all been dead and decayed. They should have been skeletons for hundreds of years, she actually, none of them had decayed, and she actually got up and attacked. And that's why the crypt was sealed in and bricked up. That's why the other tunnels were filled in. And, there's only one other thing with Tintern Abbey you need to know. Underneath Tintern Abbey itself, allegedly, there is some form of trains or subway. Now, I know there's tunnels that stretch for miles. That's apparently, if they're vampires, they have to stay out with the daylight, don't they? So that's why the tunnels were there that stretched for all of them. Bunch, at least 7 tunnels I knew of, and they were all very expansive. But there's one underneath the abbey itself. They have it closed off with a gate, and if you walk to the end of it, they have a big block in the way. Something they said it caved in. It didn't cave in. If you were an 8.5 foot tall reptilian, you could move that rock, but you'd need a lot of us to be able to do it in a place that's very small. But anyway, beyond that rock, at the end of that tunnel, allegedly, there is one of these subways that we're not allowed to know about. One of these things where, allegedly, these are basically subways, but have you ever seen like a slinky? A copper coil. Apparently, they're made. That's how they're made. And if you put a battery in a copper coil, you know that stuff, the battery will start to fly around. If you bring it up like that. But yeah, that's apparently this subway. That's how it works, and they have it underground there because celebrities have been seen coming in and out of there, discussing roles and future projects and stuff like that. Famous directors and celebrities going for strolls around Tintern Abbey. And that's how they're getting there. They're privy, these fallen and their reptilian offspring, they're privy to these feats of technology that we're not allowed to know even exist. Apparently, these tunnels go all over the world. All over the world, like from Antarctica to Barcelona. You're everywhere. Everywhere. But that's conversation for another day. For now, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to show you these tunnels and prove that at the very least you'll see that everything I'm saying it tracks. Okay, so see you shortly. So here we are, Tintern Abbey, County Wexford, my local haunt. So I'm going to bring you around and I'm going to show you the tunnels on this side of the river, and that's where we're going to start with. There's one that I'm actually not sure about. That's one of the few I don't know about down here in my local haunt. Yeah, we're going to go have a look. I'll show you the signpost there first, and then we'll go down to the drainage tunnel first, I think. So, Tintern Abbey. Here we go. Let's go looking for tunnels. So this is where we're going. This is what you'll see when you come in. There's a little visitor centre there. They're doing some work on it. Really, people will be asking about, there was a fire and there was this and there was that happened here. There was battles here. There was monks that lived here. That's not what we're here for. We're going to go have a look at some of the different stuff. Yeah, I'll go over to that one in a second. First, I know it's a bit long to record the entire way down, but at least you'll know where to go when you come in here and have a look. Sorry, how are you keeping? So, here we are. I believe it's up here. I might be in the wrong spot myself. And here we go. This is tunnel number 1. So this used to be ground level here. And we used to come play here as kids. This is the one where we used to run in and put our names, who can go in the furthest, who was bravest. So you'd write your name down, stick on a piece of paper, and stick it on a wall. I don't know if I can get down to Shapers. Whoa. Hang on. Do you see? It's very hard to see. But yeah, that used to be, that's filled in there at the end. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, very hard to see. Yeah, you can see that's just brick, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So that's the first one. That's where things were seen. I'm keeping it low because there's a lot of people around. Again, now we're not going to go. There are tunnels there the other side of the river, but I'm not going to go to the other side of the river today. I'm just going to show you the. I'll tell you what, I'll show you this one real quick. Hang on. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Ah, it's overgrown. Damn it. There, can you... Whoa. Nearly lost my footing. Can you see that? There's another one, but I think that's just a mill outlet. Anyways, I want to keep going. So, I'm going to show you the tunnel that goes under the castle next. This is what I call the transportation tunnel. They always have this one blocked off. Used to be able to walk right in. Now there's a big stone block in the way. and multiple gates. You'd wonder, wouldn't you? Yeah, look. So firstly we're locked here, and then that tunnel. That stretches all the way in. That stretches in for, I've walked it before, that's about 50 meters of a tunnel before you hit the, what they're saying is a blockage, but it can be moved. That's the train tunnel. That's where Scorsese and De Niro came out of. Had an old stroll around. You'll see a lot of people come out of there. But we're not allowed in, of course. Anyways, we're going to keep going. So now we got to go up to the crypt. I'll show you. I don't know if there's any tunnels. There's probably are tunnels in around there, but they're buried. Like all of them. But these are things like you used to be able to walk from here to Clemines all underground. You're talking, that's 7 miles. I'm going to bring you to that tunnel too, that's up behind the crypt. But yeah. Or was that down just before? I'll show you both. Anyways, because I honestly don't remember. But here we are. I'm going to take another shot of the abbey there, because it is pretty. Yeah, everything's very much in season. Lots of greenery. Water's very low in the river, I must say. And that river used to be deeper here. So there's the Battlement Bridge. Again, there could be tunnels right under my feet right now, and I was 4 or 5 years of age when they covered them all in, guys, so my memory isn't great. But again, the other side of that bridge, across that river, there was a bunch of them. There was one, I believe, that went for, I think they measured it out, and it was either 16 kilometers or 16 miles. By the way, you can imagine the work that went into building such a thing. You know, the craftsmanship. So now there's people here, so I'm trying to keep people off camera, you know. But yeah, so how you keep? Yeah, so this is the Battlement Bridge. We're not going across it. We're going uphill. See that? Church and graveyard. So up here is where we're going. Now there's also a well in there, and there used to be a tunnel somewhere. Hang on. I know I'm not going to bother really going there, it's not much of interest. There used to be another tunnel there someplace that led down to a spiral staircase. So I went in that one before, but again I was only 4 or 5, like. It was built really, really small. They said it was a tunnel for squires. But it didn't make sense because I was 4 or 5 and I barely fit in it. It was really well made. It was a spiral staircase, and I'd love to tell you what was at the end of it. But again, I was only 4, guys, so I got scared. I got about, I'd like to say I got about 40 feet into it. Down the staircase, but I don't know. But it got dark, it got cold, and I heard something, so I ran. Oh, right behind this wall here. Sorry, it's a hell of a hill. Right behind this, that's bricked up, there used to be some form of tunnel there. Where did it go? I don't know if that was a Clemines tunnel. I don't think so. I'm not sure where that tunnel went. I'm not sure where it went. But that was bricked in, and behind it, everything was, there was a bunch of stuff planted to hide where the tunnel is, like, so it's all overgrowth. You'd want shovels and petrol to burn off all the stuff that's, you know, in your way. And also, that's not part of Tindernaby grounds. Someone privately owns that, so I have no right to go in there. Here, on the other hand, I do. Whew. So, you could open the gate. I'm just going to go up the steps like a big chap. And I'm sorry, I'm going to try to keep people off camera now. How are you keeping, lads? But So here's the great, but we're not really interested in this. We're looking at the tunnel behind it. So around here, I vividly remember this because this is the first time I ever smelt weed. I was 4 years old and they caught a fella named Decky. Decky and a mate of his were in there. Yeah. You see, it doesn't even look right, does it? This weird hedging just chunked here, like, you know. Sorry now. As you can see, all overgrowth, all just gone wild for no good reason. Even like, you can see where the fencing is supposed to start, kind of. So, hang on, there's a good shot of the place. But anyway, so that was, as far as I know, that was the tunnel to Kilmines, because I remember a young fella getting caught in it, smoking a joint, and his father kicked the shit out of him. So, that's the Kilmines tunnel. Now, let's talk about the crypt. Oh, I'm huffing and puffing, sorry. So everybody comes in here when they think about the crypt, right? This is the graveyard and all that stuff. I think one of these is a staircase as well of some sorts, but I can't remember which, and they're too heavy to lift. But everybody comes in here, but this isn't what we're interested in. You want to see the crypt. This is where they found the Coakleys, the Coolcoffs, okay? And this is where they bricked it in. You can tell, look, it's all old brickwork until you come to here. This had a big black gate on it, like you've seen throughout my walk here today. That was it. There was a black gate there. It went down to the crypt, and I already told you everything else. It's in the other video. But yeah, why don't I blow it up? It's not mine to blow up. Why don't I dig it up? I need a lot more than just me to go digging out these tunnels and to go and break in there. And also, if we do break into it, what are we going to find down there? But anyways, so excuse me. Anyway, so there's your there's our trip around Tintern and its little tunnels.